The city cracking down on lead foots. Vision Zero going 24/7 starting today.
And that means 2,000 traffic cameras across the city watching motorists' every move. And that's welcome news in the Bronx, which has seen a jump in the number of traffic-related fatalities this year. Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson joins us live this morning to weigh in on this. Good morning, Borough President. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, so let's get straight to these numbers. A little bit disturbing here. There were 28 traffic deaths in the Bronx in the first 6 months of this year. That's according to a report released by Transportation Alternatives. And just last week, a 99-year-old resident in Riverdale was struck and killed while in a crosswalk. So do you think that the new Vision Zero initiative is really going to slow down drivers a bit, or do you think it's going to take some time before we see an effect?
I think we've made a lot of progress since 2014 when I was a member of the council and joined my colleagues in the administration in launching Vision Zero. And we really had a very deliberate strategic plan to incorporate additional pedestrian safety, pedestrian plazas, dedicated bus lanes and bike lanes, and really making sure that we have shared streets. Crosswalks should be the safest part of our streets, and for many of our communities, they're not. A 99-year-old woman in our borough was killed last week in the Riverdale community, and our hearts are broken for that family. She was a community advocate that was loved by many in the community. So we have to do more. There's a lot that we're doing with the Bronx DOT office in terms of implementing these dedicated bus lanes and bike lanes. We have to get buses to move because they're one of the slowest in the city. But we also have to make sure we hold everyone accountable. Reckless driving is on the increase, and a lot of times these cases are very preventable. They're crashes that could have been prevented. So having the 24/7 incorporation of now the speed camera operation is going to be a good deterrent to slowing drivers down. We've got to slow people down. We know that we have cars, buses, trucks, we have everything on our streets. But guess what? They have to be safe for everyone. So we are doing a lot of work in the Bronx. We're working with Commissioner Rodriguez, and we're going to be able to make sure that we implement additional measures here in the Bronx.
That was going to be the next question, because the study shows that certain communities in the Bronx are being overlooked when it comes to Vision Zero. So what are those areas, and what's the Department of Transportation actually doing to address the issue?
So, the honest truth is there are a lot of communities in the Bronx that are transit rich and some that are transit deserts. And many drivers that live in the Bronx are still driving their vehicles. The goal is to get them out of vehicles and into alternative modes of transportation. So that's why we have ferry service at Ferry Point Park, as well as Soundview. We're looking at expanding it into parts of the East Bronx and the West Bronx. And also we have to make sure that our subway systems are safe. We have to have elevators and escalators that are operating and operable at our local subway stations so that people with mobility issues can get on our subways. People need to be safe, and the only way you take them out of a vehicle is making the alternative better. And a lot of people drive in parts of our borough. They complain about no parking. They complain about bicyclists and cyclists not adhering to traffic laws. And so I think there's blame all around. We all have a responsibility. There's not a one-size-fits-all approach that will really address this. We have to do a lot of the Bronx because the Bronx is very hilly for cyclists. We've heard that. We have to make sure that our roads are safer or resurfaced. We need more pedestrian plazas, and we really need to make sure that our crosswalks are really safe for all of our residents.
Yeah. Borough President, we don't have a lot of time with you, so I want to switch over to another big story, monkeypox. Bronx right in the middle, third highest of the boroughs for cases. 80,000 vaccines are on their way to the city, but how much are actually going to the Bronx?
So we're working with DOHMH, and I want to commend the Commissioner and Mayor Adams for first declaring it a public health crisis, and World Health Organization as well. I think there are so many hands working on this that we are going to see progress. Of that 80,000, we believe the Bronx will get a significant amount. We are the number third in terms of the boroughs with about 12% of the current cases, which are close to 1,300 in New York City. We have a vaccination pop-up site at Bronx Science, and we just distributed about 1,400 vaccinations yesterday, as well as 2 previous Sundays. And we do have Lincoln Hospital, which is now a sexual health clinic, joining the Chelsea and Corona and Central Harlem site. We demanded and asked for that, and I joined with all of my borough presidents in making sure that the FDA and CDC could really declare New York City the epicenter, because we have a significant amount of the cases across, the state of New York, and we want to make sure that the residents of the Bronx are protected with antiviral services, wraparound services, treatment, as well as vaccines.
All right. Bronx Borough President, just one other quick thing here. First day of school, a little more than a month away. You are already thinking about how to give some young students a start with technology. Tell us about that very quickly.
So in the FY23 budget adopted by the City Council in June, we were grateful to allocate $14.5 million towards our schools here in the Bronx, across our school district 7 through school district 12, as well as D75. We gave a lot of Reso A money for technology upgrades, smart boards, Chrome notebooks, laptops, laptop parts across all districts. We heard from a lot of our parents in CECs, and we learned during the COVID-19 pandemic that many families were struggling with connectivity, with tech equity, with the digital divide, which is very real for our students in temporary housing and students that don't have internet at home. We want to make sure they have the latest technology, so we're going to be investing even more. We're working with the Bronx Community Foundation and Dr. Misha Porter. We're going to be embarking on a partnership that addresses tech equity across the Bronx, because the Bronx needs to be universally connected with broadband. And I also want to recognize Mayor Adams and the 5K kiosks that were rolled out across the city of New York, starting in the Bronx.
Yeah, investing in our students. I mean, they are our future. Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson, thank you again for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me today. Thank you.